All right, so I have the great pleasure, I'm going to announce him properly here, of talking to the one and the only Peter Von Panda. There he is. Look, he's on our screen right there. Look, which way is he? He's that way. What's up, Pete?
What's happening, Sean?
How
Thanks,
are
man,
you?
for having
Hey,
me here.
no, no, sir. Thank you for taking the time to come in. First of all, I got to tell everybody if you didn't get a chance, it's going to come in the bottom of here. I'll put all the links. We're not going to do the crazy Zoom where we're going to go sharing screens, are we, Pete? We're way beyond that stuff. We're just going to
No.
talk. And then I'm going to go back and have the magic of our conversation of putting in stuff like this at the bottom of the screen. Look, that's your link. That's my links. See how I went with that? And we didn't have to take our time. We're just two guys chatting. So, anyway, good morning and thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk. So, for those of you who don't know, I met Pete online. He is an actual YouTuber. If you guys get a chance, go check out his link that I'm putting up right here for you. We're going to talk. Pete's given me the opportunity, kind of, in my opinion, a nerdy lifetime to be able to speak to a guy like Pete. He's got quite a bit of knowledge. He's been on here for many, many years. I'll let him answer those questions. But Pete agreed to kind of come on here and talk and has helped me with kind of, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Pete. You're kind of like a mentor. I don't know, how's that make you feel?
Mm.
You make this old man proud to be your friend, man. So no, you're really smart. You're a pleasure to talk to. So good morning, and I really want to welcome you properly on there, Peter Von Panda, folks. So
It's fun to be here, man. Fun to be here on a different channel.
yeah, you're awesome. So anyway, shout out to the Von Panda Nation out there. If you guys get a chance, go check it out. Pete, I want to just ask you some questions if you don't mind. I wanted to show you right off the bat. Look, would you be proud of your boy? I got me some proud new t-shirts. Look,
Love it. Love it.
got some
Yeah.
merch. If you haven't subscribed yet, Pete, look, you can do so just by going to my YouTube channel, which is it's We Review You. And I got to tell you guys, check out Pete's merch. So if I'm going to drink coffee, I'm going to have to drink out of the Peter Von Pondick. Look at this thing. Pete, this company
And
right here alone.
I've hit the subscribe button on the We Review You channel, so
Yes.
I'm a sub over there. So
Thank
feel
you.
free to join us there.
Hey, we have cookies. If you guys want, come on over and enjoy. But no, listen, you know one thing I love about you, Pete? You said the same thing. There's so much YouTube out there and there's so much going on. It really doesn't matter if my people come to you got cookies, we got cookies. Share the knowledge and let people see each other's. You guys go over and check out Pete. Man, this guy's got like 5 reviews across 5 reviews. And I'm just going to look at his channel. Look at this. I'm going to put it up right now just so you guys can see. But Pete, tell me, starting off in the beginning, thank you too by this. Guys, go check these mugs out. We're going to have to talk about this company because even just this alone, to get something like this custom made, what a well made, even to do a review on something like that, life is kind of like a review, isn't it, Pete?
Yeah,
Almost
totally,
everything.
totally.
So
Yeah.
tell me something. How long has it been now that you've been doing reviews? Do you remember when you started?
Yeah, well, I don't remember the exact year, but it's been at least 10 years. And I want to say that maybe it's been maybe 11 or 12. I feel like I started right around 2008 or 9 possibly, and it was whatever was the original launch date of the iPad. So if you remember
Wow.
when Steve Jobs launched the iPad, that's really why I got my first videos up there, because at the time there wasn't a lot of information about one, the iPad itself, but
Wow.
also accessories, right? From the cases to the bags and things like this. So I didn't buy the iPad when it was first released, and I was doing my own watching of videos, what is it like? And, it was very expensive at the time. And
Yeah.
will there be any value? And if you remember, when they launched the iPad, they actually launched it to support the iPhone apps, because there
Yes.
weren't iPad apps, right?
Right.
So it would just like blow up the apps. And so then the question was, well, will there even be an app ecosystem for this? Will people develop for the iPad? And I don't know. I mean, we'll still see if the iPad, takes a foothold in culture. It's
Wow.
probably still too early to know. It's kind of a fad. No, and obviously it went on to great success. But one of the things that I did was, just as I got my iPad, I was sharing some things, I was sharing some cases. And that's really why I put up the videos at the very beginning, because there just wasn't very much information out there. And if you go back to those years, I mean, in a year, I probably had 3 videos, right? I mean, it was
Wow.
just, I got a case, I showed it to people, I got a briefcase, a messenger bag for it, I showed that, so it was just trying to put information out there, kind of like what you are right now, Sean, to put information out there that people can use, right? I mean, it's trying to help people. And I think if you lead first with that, then people will see those videos or find them or seek them out, get value out of them, and then appreciate the people who are creating it.
Yeah, and it's funny you say it. Thank you. That's an interesting point because you even brought it up that and this is a shout out to everybody out there that's tried this. Look, if you look at Pete, he's got, I believe at last count, you have over 159,000 subscribers, which is impressive. I'm very proud. I've only been doing this a few months and I have like 61. I'm very proud of that. And thank you everybody that's been faithful to subscribe. But you pointed this out and I didn't even really know this. And we're watching right now in the background on some of the videos of yours. You may have like 150 here, but then 600 and something views here. Then you go back to the ones that have been on. As a new person to YouTube, you've been doing this a long time. Forgive my ignorance, but you've got some hits that millions of views. I can't fathom to have somebody that sit back and had. It must make you feel really humbled to have somebody that has taken the time to watch your videos millions of times. I mean, I don't know how that makes you feel, but to me, I did my first video and I have over 20, I think at last count, 2,200 views. And I thought that was,
Awesome.
well, thank you. And I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty awesome that the people out there, and thank all of you that watched that, but it was on a dash cam, and who would ever thunk, right, that a dash cam would be popular, but it was. What was the first item, if you remember, that you reviewed? Do you remember I know you talked about the Apple products, but what was like the real first thing that really pops into your memory for reviews?
I mean, I obviously I remember doing the iPad stuff, but it was really watches that really kind of put me on the map. So, I like watches. I had watches for different types of events, so Casio for going out and beating around in the woods, and something a little dressier for work, or, and this was kind of pre phone, timepiece mentality, right? And so when you're in a meeting, it's you don't want to turn on your phone. Honestly, that stuff has probably not changed, right? But you want to make sure that you're getting to your next meeting. And so I had watches, and I had different watches for different outfits and things like this. And so I started reviewing watches. That was really kind of the whole first theme of things that I remember getting into. And
Watches.
I maybe had like a dozen watches at that time, so I was just kind of getting through them and talking about why I liked them and why I got this one and where you can get it. And that's where I started discovering real views, because to be honest, I sometimes I had some really offbeat watches and I was showing those and I was like, oh, nobody has this, everyone's going to want to see this because people are going to be curious about it. And it really wasn't that. It was like the Casios and the Timexes and the Seikos. When I looked at my analytics, and like you said, I am shocked, and huge thanks to the Panda Nation for obviously subscribing to my channel, watching some of those videos. My parents probably account for 500,000 of those views on,
Wow.
on those million views.
Thank
So
you.
thanks,
Thank you,
Ma, for
parents.
hitting refresh.
You're great parents.
But when I saw that, it was a little bit of a light bulb moment. And I've had a number of these over the years where it's not just the unique, the aspirational type of stuff that
Right.
gets the views. It's the utilitarian stuff too. I mean, there are a lot more people looking for Casios and Timexes and trying to figure out, hey, is this $25 purchase worth the effort, right? Is it worth my hard-earned money? And I think a lot of times we think about, a $500 item, $1,000 item. There are obviously great channels. Like I watch a lot of car YouTube channels, and they review $1 million cars. And I watch those because I'm curious about it. I will never own it. But to be honest, if I'm going to go out and buy, say, a Jeep Renegade or a Ford Ranger, right? I'm going to watch pretty much every video that's on YouTube, because I want to make sure that when I'm spending my hard-earned money, and it may not be something that's super aspirational, but it might be something where this is my purchase, this is my dream car, this is an electronics that I've wanted and I've been saving up, and I want to make sure that I'm making the right decision. So I realize that there's a kind of a middle, there are a lot of practical middle of the road products that people want to know about, and that's really kind of what my channel's centered around. And so I do reviews on those types of products, a lot of very attainable products. But I personally, what I think is different on my channel is that I usually go into the details. I do some close-ups. I try to show a lot of the small nuance of stuff that a lot of other channels or videos might not cover, because they'll kind of do maybe a higher level. But I want people to know what the plastic feels like. Are the seams nicely molded? Does it flex when you twist it? Does it break after a week? Those types of things.
You get into it. We're watching some of the stuff right here in the background of you, and he does. I mean, he really gets into this. One thing I'm admiring, I got to say again, not to it is what it is. I kind of mold myself after some of your videos. I watch them and I'm like, even, do you remember the one you did on the snowblower?
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
you sprayed the spray on there. Who would ever thought that? But again, for people who have ever discovered, maybe not the guy down in Florida, right?
Hmm.
But for the people that live in the northern areas or the people that live in this kind of quadrant, if you had a snowblower and ever had to experience something like that, you literally get out there and get dirty and test stuff. And I mean, it's really cool. That's probably one of the reasons what accounts for the number of views that you receive, in my opinion. And it's pretty cool to watch that, whether it's mom or not. Shout out to mom.
Yeah. Keep hitting
And
refresh.
yeah, man, keep hitting refresh. But what probably do you think was the most memorable item? If we could segue into that, do you remember? Like, is there one item that you can just go, "Wow, I like that"?
You know, oh man, that's tough. I would say that there are a lot of times I get products and they behave just like I expect. You know, probably the ones that are most memorable, it's really quite binary. I get it and I expect a lot and they overperform. And
Mm,
and there have been some products that have just blown me away, you know, whether they're just for fun or they're very practical. But there are a number of products that I get and I expect, well, you know, them to do their job and they're terrible.
yeah,
And you know, you won't see necessarily a lot of those videos on my channel because honestly, the stuff that you buy, if you do your research, it's probably going to do its job pretty well.
sure.
But there is one, and I can't remember if it's called the magic wand or something like that, but it's an attachment to your hose and it's supposed to create a a pressure hose, kind of like a pressure washer effect with just a hose. Now I have a pressure washer, it runs on a motor, so it compresses the waters that's coming out, it gives you a very tight stream, you can use it to clean concrete and grout and all these other things. And this thing advertises itself to do the same thing without any of that hardware, and it doesn't work at all. I mean,
Oh,
it's no better than tightening the blast on the end of your regular hose nozzle. And I do the video on it showing it, and as I'm going through the video, you can tell that I am not impressed with it. And I
no,
think, you know, some of those things stick out because when I'm surprised that something doesn't live up to the hype, you know, in the infomercial or the 30-second commercial, whatever, you
it's
know, I probably shouldn't be that surprised. But especially when they really disappoint me like that, I put them up because not to blast a product. I'm never trying to
no,
do that
no,
particularly, but you know, I want people to know, especially on something like that, that maybe 29, $30, right? If you get it and it's worth nothing, you just gave away 30 bucks. And you know, to
right.
me, you know, I watch the pennies. I'm a pretty cheap guy, and so obviously I spend some money on the channel to share things with people, but in many ways I feel like I have some responsibility to spend the money to try things so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. So
Right.
if it's great, it's a great deal. If it's terrible, hopefully I've saved you a couple bucks.
That's to me, that's the amazing about the nuance of a review channel, isn't it? To me, I mean, it's pretty cool for you and I do the same thing. We watch other people's. I'm subscribed to, you know, I see others and how they do the reviews. I'm like, wow, that's a cool product. And perhaps I'm not swayed by it, but I'm gonna decide that the purchase is gonna there because you've tried it and you like it. And then I look at the fact that you know, not just you're per se, Pete, but somebody that's done the time to do reviews. So in my channel, that's what I hope my folks see. One guy asked me why I didn't blast the guy on my dash cam video. My channel wasn't there's enough negativity out there, right? So I like to be positive. Now people laughed, you can get your humor still out of it, right?
Mhm.
But you're right, we're trying to make more of a positive influence in a kind of a really negative world. So what do you think segueing into that? I know I like to do reviews on places and I got a lot coming. One thing that we'll talk more about here in a minute, you do so many videos, it's consistency. And I'm bad. I slap myself. I should get on there and do at least one video or more a day. I'm not really worried about algorithms and things like that. I'm just wanting to provide my reviews, something I'm very passionate about, like yourself. But do you remember a place that you've ever gone? That's where I'm going to start going. I'll segue into that. Um, Places, not just products. I know you did a Key West thing here recently. Do you
Mhm.
have a place that stands out that you've done reviews on
And
in
I've
your
got
mind?
another Key West video coming up too, a little longer one
Yes.
about the whole trip. So, you
Yes.
know,
I can't wait.
2 points on this, you know, on travel, and then I'll
Please.
also talk about consistency a little bit.
Yes.
But yeah, the travel is great. Obviously, I think a lot of people love to travel. It's expensive. You know, there are a lot of places that I want to go that maybe I will probably never go to in my lifetime. And so, watching some of these videos of people going, you know,
Yes.
awesome places like Thailand or to the Alps or Australia, you know, places I've never been that I would think about going, one kind of gives me that vicarious experience of going there and seeing what it's like, right? Because I think especially when we travel, it's hard, it's expensive, and you know, it's time consuming. People can't find time away from work. A lot of people have ties because of family or kids or whatever. And so in some ways I feel like I get some of that experience without having to go there. And especially if you watch some of these videos and say, hey, that was awesome, okay, it's not maybe on my list of the priorities to go. So like I can say, hey, now I'm going to go to Hawaii, or I'm going to go to Canada, or wherever, Europe, and some of these other things. But you can still see what it's like, which I really love. And that's why I also like sharing that, because I've picked some places that I really want to go based a lot on watching those videos,
Yeah.
trying to find some new different things. Try to find some hole in the wall places, some less traveled places, some something unique about them,
Yeah.
some insider information. I really love those, because I think, if you, I don't make a very overt thing about this, but on my channel, if you look at my logo, it says discover, explore, live.
Yes.
And my motto for the channel is discover more, explore deeper, live better. And my whole point of the products that I show here, or the places that I show, is though that you can discover something that might be new, explore deeper into it, find more details about it, and hopefully you can make a decision to buy the products, take the trips, have the experiences that help you live a better life. I mean, it seems kind of silly that say, hey, well, Pete, what does reviewing golf balls have to do with living better? Well,
Yeah.
if you can find golf balls that fit your game, that give you more enjoyment out of golfing, that
Why
make
not?
you better, right, that's going to hopefully increase the quality of your life. And so it's these small things. It's not necessarily the big, I love Tony Robbins, but it's not necessarily these big macro changes all the time.
Right.
But maybe there's something that helps you cook faster, or
Sure.
spend a little less time doing the laundry, or whatever it might be. And if I can contribute to people discovering some of the things that can help them live better, I'm all for that. So I love travel, whether it's finding a great hotel at an awesome price, finding a quiet beach somewhere, it's pretty amazing. And even like when I was in Hawaii, what I did a very short video on a beach, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's on a military base, and you can get onto it on certain days when the military base isn't doing operations. But
Wow.
it's a beautiful beach. Most Hawaiians have never gone there, because you have to know to go to the guard station on this particular day and say that you're just going to the beach. And it's just awesome. It's just one of those like small things that you can do. And I think that the ability now to find the stuff digitally online is better than ever, and see it and experience it. The power of the video is to see the visuals, to hear the waves, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say about consistency is,
Yes.
I have a cadence, obviously, to my videos. I put out stuff pretty much daily. And that was kind of a trial and error thing, because sometimes I would film a bunch of stuff and I'd slam them all up. And actually people in my comments really helped me change that, because they were saying, listen, don't put 5 videos up a day, you're clogging my feed. And so one of the things I realized is that, especially as you get more subscribers, when you're starting at zero, or we all start at zero, it doesn't matter, you can put up 15, but because no one knows,
Right.
but
Right.
once you start getting subscribers, you want to cater to them too. You want their experience on YouTube to be enjoyable as well. And that means, to me, not necessarily slamming out a bunch of videos on one day. Now, it doesn't mean you can't, right? I mean,
No.
I think it could absolutely make sense. And let's say, I know people that go to a conference, and there's all sorts of, the PGA conference, or, the shot show, or whatever, right? And as a viewer, what I want to see are all these new releases, these unveilings, right? The auto show or whatever, and I want to see them real time. So if you're putting out 10 videos a day, like here's the new Dodge Viper, here's the new Corvette, I will watch them. That's because that's just part of like how we exist. I don't want to wait till next week to see something that everyone else is seeing today. But in most cases, people want kind of a steady diet of it, and it helps us, one, be able to control how quickly we are creating content and putting it out there, but it's also helping the viewer not to be inundated, but also to have that constant reminder. Now, if they want to see you, they can watch that video. If they want to skip over it, but great. But it's like a TV show. Why do they put the TV show on at 7:30 every Tuesday? It's to help you know that, it's going to be Tuesday, and to
Absolutely.
help you build your schedule and be conditioned and be prepped for it. It's not just like conditioning like Pavlov's dogs, but it's to be conditioned to say, hey, I can always make sure my Tuesday evening is free, so that I can watch the new episode of Magnum PI or something like that, right? So, and I don't know when Magnum is on. I watch it on demand. But
Although I got to stop you right
show.
there. That was one of my favorite reviews you've done, hands down. I'm going to put it up right now. That was a segue into it. You read my mind. I'm stopping you there. Check this video out. Where do you want me to go point, Pete? How about I'll put you right?
Yeah, I love it.
So
Magnum and I could be brothers.
No, I mean, really, dude.
From the neck down, we're twins, right?
But the way you get into it, I got to tell you, that was my favorite video, guys. Listen, I'm gonna play it for you here in a little bit. Watch this. This video right here is one of the things why you got to watch Peter Von Panda. Subscribe to his channel. Watch these videos. They're awesome. I love the way he does them. But even the one he's talking about here, he knows he's gonna start laughing here in a minute. But go ahead, Pete. Put on your little. Where's your mustache, Pete? There he
I,
is.
I
Oh,
don't rock it as
where'd
much
you go? Where did you go?
as Tom Selleck, but
Like, I don't know
you
what
know,
happened. Like, I kind of went for a biblical character. I went straight into like Moses. I got kind of
yeah.
like Chris Kringle and Moses here. So anyway, so I've got you some stuff up. And listen, I don't want to take up and make this real long for both viewers. I wanted two more questions, if you don't mind me asking you. You've been very kind to take
You
the
bet.
time. When did you ever think it was a great idea to start selling merch? And before you answer that, I got these shirts for more than one reason, right? For a marketing point of view, when I'm out at places and people see it, it's an outward visible sign. This is something I use quite a lot because I drink a lot of coffee, and between this cup,
Ditto.
I do. I mean, we both do. We both have
Yeah.
our little, and so, but again, I'll segue back to this in a question. When did you find it time to go ahead and maybe start selling merchandise in your channel? You
Yeah.
started doing reviews.
Yeah, it was pretty late. Obviously, the merch thing, has probably risen in the last 3 years, is kind of my recollection of it. And I probably had merch up pretty early. So when you're in the YouTube partner program, and I can't remember when they launched this stuff, but you'll notice that under some of the videos, they have like a merch shelf, what do they call it? And that's actually hosted by Teespring. So you can set up, you can upload your design. It's all usually print on demand. And that allows people to buy a t-shirt with your logo or a mug with your logo, and it's usually pretty middle of the road merchandise, but it's great, and a t-shirt. To be honest, I'm not a connoisseur of t-shirt, so a $12 t-shirt feels just like a $100 t-shirt to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can spend hundreds of dollars on t-shirts. I kid you not. I'm just kind of getting into the shoe world,
No,
and I have realized that there are $3,000 pairs of shoes.
Yep.
And I will tell you that my toes, I'm sure if my toes go in there, do not scream with glee at $3,000 shoes.
No.
I've never tried it, but I'm just telling you, I'm doubting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's awesome because I don't sell a lot of merch. There are obviously a lot of people that you can see going around the street, and you can see them wearing their shirts, Black Rifle Coffee Company, whatever it is, James DeFranco, or whatever, and so there are a lot of guys that are really big that sell a lot of merch, and it's a great way, I think, to show that you are supporting a creator. Now, I will say this: when I put up merch, when I initially thought about it, I was like, oh, this is such an ego drive. But I was talking to someone, and he was making the point that it's not really about you. It's not really about you making money. It's that you have some followers, some subs, some friends, some people that you have commented back and forth with on the channel, and you may never have met them, but they feel a connection with you, and they want to express that. They want to support you, right? And that was really interesting to me. So I put stuff up there, and like I said, shout out to the Panda Nation, because I have some people who have been with me for years, right? Watching, some people have probably been watching every video I've put up, which is just amazing. You think 10 years of videos. I have known some of these people and their usernames, for a decade. Which is amazing, right? And so they'll buy some stuff, they'll support it. I actually even did a video where I said, send me your pictures, and gave my email address, and people would send me, I still receive them randomly, where people, in Home Depot buying something, buying a Ryobi that I reviewed with their Panda shirt on, thumbs up or whatever. And so it's just awesome, because what I love it, but what I realized is that it's just a way for them to feel even more connected, and it's maybe it's silly in some ways, but I love it, and hopefully they do too. And so I wanted to put some stuff up like that. Now I drink a lot of coffee. I've got my medium roast silencer smooth right here.
Did you put your pinkies out when you did that? I didn't see.
I'm just trying to be the Everman, not to a royal family. But one of the things that I love is coffee. I realize a lot of people like me. A lot of my viewers like coffee. A lot of my friends like coffee, and so I use it to kind of get through the day.
I do
the
the
2 o'clock slump,
Yeah.
right? And
Same
so
way.
one of the things that I wanted is I always had a Panda mug, that was in the merch store, but I always wanted one of those really nice ceramic mugs. If you go to, and it's weird, but it's like when you talk about travel, when I would go to like these little towns, northern Michigan, northern Wisconsin, the UP, in those gift stores, they would have these beautiful handcrafted, like the clay mugs, right? And they'd have the logo of like Traverse City, Mackinac Island. And I was like, oh man, I like those. They're just heavy. They feel good. They look good. It's a mug that I feel like I would grab in front of the fire and actually look at and admire the colors and all that, and drink my hot cider, my coffee, my wassail, or whatever it is. And I thought, it was one of those things where I always wanted it. I always wanted it to be able to offer it to people. I wanted it myself. I wanted to have it some of my good friends that really enjoyed coffee and not just have it out of a cheaper mug, something that they could be proud of. And so I worked with, I think it's like something stoneware, and they're out of Wisconsin, so they're
Yes.
local to me, only a couple hours here. I contacted them. They do a ton of stuff. These are a little smaller. You can pick the kind of the color glaze, and you can give them the logo. They'll send you a couple proofs. That's the one I picked, and they did an awesome job,
They
man. I
did.
mean, I don't know what you think of it, but it's got weight to it. The logo design, the intricacy in the way they stamp it or however they do it, but the whole thing is handmade, and they get the glaze into the etching. Now they are a little pricey, and so they, I remember 20 or 30 bucks is kind of the sale price on them, but it's one that I enjoy. It's one that I use pretty regularly, and I always wanted it, and it's probably one of the few merch pieces that I always wanted, and I kind of waited until now to get, because there just weren't. I didn't have the viewers, the sales and stuff like that to back it up. So it's fun. It's just a little vanity, but man, I drink a lot of coffee out of them.
Bro, I'm going to tell you this right now, shamelessly. Listen, for all mine that are subscribed to my channel, go out and get you one of these today. The link's in the description. See where I went with that, Pete? Did you like how I went? The link
Love
in
it.
the description. Yeah, see that? And by the way, I am not paid to endorse Mr. Von Panda. I just love this cup, and I think you should get one. See where I went with that too, Pete?
Yeah.
So anyway, but you could give me like $5 after this if you want. So, but
Don't
no,
play.
you're right. And see, that's one thing I love about you, because you're very passionate about it. You're right, like me. So just a quick little detail. I don't know if I ever shared this with you in our talks, but I actually work for Jimmy Buffett. And some people may or may not have heard of that guy, but yes, that Jimmy Buffett. And one thing I can tell you about shirts, I actually know quite a lot about, and people don't know t-shirts. And even to do a review on shirts, the company that I use to print mine out, actually, or to let them know about the quality of what makes a 5-ounce versus a 6-ounce shirt better, could be a potential review. But life is like a review, isn't it? Everywhere we go, each thing we do and touch is like a review. So listen, I won't take up too much more of your time. That's the questions I really had kind of focused on wanting to ask you. I was going to do maybe a chance where some of our people could ask you some questions or something maybe in another time. But I really appreciate you just taking the time out of your day, because you're an awesome dude. I love what you are passionate about. Like I said, a lot of the things you've done have inspired me. And in closing, I agree. If we could just touch somebody, a defining moment, whether it be TripAdvisor or a review on our YouTube channels, somebody sees that, and I had a great experience. That's what my goal was. Why I started my channel isn't one to go out and get rich. It wasn't one to go out and hopefully, the world exposed to myself. In fact, it was just to go out and have fun and do reviews on things that were quality products and quality service. That's my motto, like your motto. And I think people deserve it, don't they? Today, in today's world, a lot of restaurants, you may have one or two waitresses running 50 tables, and they're getting ripped right now. So I believe the food came out great, or my to-go order came out right. Maybe they shied something or forgot it, but I'm going to praise them for all the good work that they're doing during this desperate time versus the opposite. And I think that's what, in your success, Pete, to you, you've pointed out a lot of the positive and made not fun of, but made fun with some of the negative. And kudos to you, because I mean, whether you have 160,000 or 60 people, it's pretty cool to have people in your home every night that will tune in and watch that, isn't it? So I thank my people. Shout out to the Panda Nation. Shout out to Peter Von Panda for taking the time. And hey, Pete, if any of your people want to come over to the dark side, we have cookies. So, hey, man, thank you so much. You're an awesome dude. I appreciate all your insight. And maybe another time we could talk more about, I know you got a lot going on with Amazon and you do a lot of stuff. But what I'd like to encourage people is to explore, like Pete says in closing, why don't you go check out Pete's channel and look, or mine. You'll see there's descriptions on there. And if you want to learn maybe more about it, hit Pete up or maybe hit myself up and learn more. I don't know as much as this man does, but I can tell you what I've learned in just a short amount of time makes me feel very humble. And I thank each and every one of you for tuning in and subscribing to our channel and watching. So from We Review You, and Pete, go ahead and give a plug out for yours. Go ahead.
Thanks for tuning in today, the Panda Nation, for joining me, and for Sean for having me on your channel. You can definitely check me out at Peter Von Panda. Would love to have you over there in our neck of the woods too.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you, man. Thank you for taking the time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and shout out to everybody for watching today. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.